mai te rangi ki te whenua ki te rangi, tahi noina tō tātou matu nui te rangi. Kua ngā wewe taki tine nei ko te tahi noina tō tātou matu nui te rangi. I reira, kei te rangi pāmama, kei te nuku pāmama. Kei te rangi kei tū wairia he kiko ki te kāhui tapito, ki te kāhui tupua, ki te kāhui ariki, o tō tātou ki ni Māori a tūhei tēnā noko mai rāe. Nai rungi tēnā tūnga. I wānanga he mātai I roto te tautahi mono waru rau, I te kaumā ono, tū tēnā hui I roto a pūkawa. Ua tau mutu muri aki I tēnā ko tū, ko te kōta tau hei kingi Māori mo tātaki I reira heke panei kia tūhei tia. I reira tēnei te mihi atu ki a tūhei tia. Tā ahuatanga te motu nāne tohu mānei heke mai o ana nei tūpuna, heke piki ai. Rei, te piki te ora ki a kingi tūhei tia, mo ana nei tamariki tō ranga tida. Tere, pai mai, heke hoki te kāhui aku rewa. Ana. Me pēnei te koro mai maki tū ki Tongariro. O Tongariro te maunga, ki taupo te mōna ko tūpare toa te iwi, ko te heu te tangata. Nā, tēnā, heke iho, e tātou, e pai nei, I roto I tēnei pare. Ki nā koutou katoa. Nau mai haere mai, I roto I tēnei marae, te rangi ita. Nau mai haere mai, ma ngā huatanga, kaupapa o tēnei rā. Mihi nui ki a koutou, ko te taki haere mai koutou, I riro mā te mate, mihi atu ki ngā te hunga kua wari atu. Kei muri nei ki tētahi haere mai nei, te o ngā mate, e neko mai koutou ki rungi I tēnei marae, rungi I tēnā ahua. Ahuatanga e pai nei e tātai. Reira koutou katoa, nau mai haere mai, mea koutou nei maunga, koutou nei whakaaro, koutou nei hea. Iwi, koutou nei hapu, no reira, nau mai haere mai rungi tēnei, tēnei, e ahua hono ori tēnei, e puta mai koutou rungi te marae, tēnei te marae, ko te tikanga, ko tā rauhatu tōtahi nei, tā mai koutou ki rungi tēnei marae o tātou, reira mihi atu, koutou kato, koutou pōtingia te roho o taupo nei, koutou I wai mare, te pipi runga wei nei tūranga. No reira, tēnei te mihi atu ki a koe, karanga rua, ona, wāne tāko nei, koe tēnei, nei koro mā mō ana, te tīmatango tēnei. No reira, nau mai haere mai. Na huri atu ki te reo, kua tahi, kua rua rānei. Greetings everybody. Welcome to Turangi-Tongariro. Glory to God, my earth to sky. Got us here all together. Nau mai hara mai. Mihi rata tū our kingi tūhei tia. Tumu te heu hea. Mihi atu. It's an honour that you both come here for this, but I came here on the back of Rauhato, but because of that bereavement down there, that mate down there, well, it came over to here. So we're here now anyway to do the mahi. Greetings, I'm not too sure of all the names, so I don't see you here. You see Rosie Harvey. He's acting on kia ora, I'll see who they are when you put us all sit down. Where you sit there. No, that's about all. My job is just to welcome you here onto this marae and if you want to be your fellow's business. And as I understand, dinner's going to be at midday, eh? Yeah. So that's all I'll say, and as long as we know that. Kia ora tātou. Long they ought to be a wider, but
Kia ora.
right. Tini ngā petu I tihia ki te rangi, o tātai whakataki rau ki e, o tātou whakaako te rangi māni e, te hoi o runga hopuna te aroha e hara I te mea no nāia I te aroha, e taonga I takauri mai mua e. Basically, talking about the stars coming down to us, there's compassion in it. We are descendants of compassion. We have all that āhuatanga. Mai te rangi ki te tēnā, tini ngā petu, multitude of stars, and compassion is the reason we're here today. Aroha for the kaupapa. That was all that little ditty about, you know, that customer. Gareth, eh? Oh, we'll see this later. Oh, and Barry. Hey. Katoa.
Kia ora no tata. E tuatahi ngā mihi tō tātou kaihanga I whā ngā mana. E hone e turo e tō tātou matua, nāna nei te timatanga, nāna nei te whakaotine ngā wakatua, ake tonu atu. Roi e motana I mua tau. E tuarua ngā mihi o ngā mati. O ngā mati I runga I te marae o rauhatu. E ki ana ngā kōrero kia koe te tuakana. Ana, mo te mate o te rangatira kotuk ki tokorangi, mo tana tū, mo tana tangihanga I te marae o tikan ki tokorangi. Ana, haere ngā mati, haere tonu rā mai. Ana, kia koutou mā ngā tuakana. Ka tika ngā kōrero ki a koe, ana, ko tae mai te Kaunihera. Ko tae mai te Kaunihera ngā whakahaere ka e hara mai ki te kōrero, e kōrero kia nei ngā haeringa o te Kaunihera. I ngā kōrero pono, ngā kōrero tika. No reira ki a koutou, Ki te mārama, ki te mohi o ngā kōrero I tēnei wā. Kia hau nei, ana, e aha te mohi o tēnei kōrero, ana kia kōrero kia nei, kia hau nei o te reo o tauri. The acknowledgements that you have given to us is very clear. And of course going through the phases of protocol, which is very, very important, and of course your acknowledgement to our Creator. Secondly is the welcome to the Council, to Te Rangiita, Te Haputanga o Ruingara, Te Tūtanga o Te Taiopurutanga o Te Rangiita, very much acknowledged. And of course, the Council, who have been very, very astute in their understanding that in their travels around the rohe, to which they go to many marae, and being able to discuss their business in a marae surrounding. So with that, ana ngā mihi nei kia koutou. Ngā mihi nei kia koutou, I tō manaakitanga, tō awhi, o ana mo te Kaunihera. No reira, I ngā kōrero kia tātou, they also have a waiata, and it goes like this. Te aroha, te whakapono, me te rangi mai e tātou e te aroha te whakapono me te rangi mai e tātou e. Ana ngā kōrero whakamutunga e mihi ana tō tātou kaihanga ki runga e te ingoa te matua te tamutu waiwa tapu me ngā hira pono mā te māngai anō hei tautoko ake tonu atu kāhui. Ana, me ngā te hengu rei. Kia ora tātou.
Kia ora tātou. Ahakoa ko koro tia ngā kōrero wānana i te rāna. Hei ha. Tautoko na ngā mihi ki tātou kehanga. Me rātoko koe atu. Ki tātou ki ingi me tūhoki ngā mihi ki rata. Koa, ko takoto hia ngā kōrero mangi nui tātou. Ana ko wahi o tia koutou i te Kaunihera ki te mahi toko tō mai. Te rānei. Tēnei tū atu ki te hoki mai te mauri. Ki tēnei tā. Tāre tō rātu. Kia ora tātou. Kia ora tātou. Kia ora tātou. Okay. What's on?
Kae ke ki waira ka kataru whakamu mi ka ti ko te aroha te tia wi ka ke puku ki are re arora mi te tihi ki pirongi ya ke ira roko e tō mataku ho Kurunga ngena ku anoko e ihuri sake ki muri mo kai te ngaka te whakatauri hoki a pōru ati a e api a kiria ngā motahi ko ako e mihi ia iho ai ko ta kutau whanau ngano toa i te tō ngano mani ia i te uru ka pēhea tāru i ngā kaunui ai e mutu la mahi ko ka hoki ki taku whenua tupu ki te wai koropupu i heri ia mai nei i Hawaii ki rāno e ngā toro i rangi leo nā tuahi ne te hoa tai te pupu Tongari o ka maha nai taku ki ngā rangi mai anō ana i mare nā kopiha ngā te wahi ne ai
ai hau, ai ngā mai ki te muri e koki. Kia ora tātou, kia ora tātou. Kia ora. Teiru mai. Go. Yes. Ai, tēnā koe. Kia ora. E wā.
Kia ora koutou. I guess I'll just do a bit of housekeeping with wharepaku, the toilets. There is one here, but the main toilet block is just beyond the wharepuni meeting house. Take a right hand turn. The wahine is through the sliding door, and the men's is further along the building. Now we've just got to. There is an opportunity for a speaker from the marae to sit you down and talk about the history of the marae, this area Nukuhau, and Tū Whare Toa in general, just for your information and learning. So Uncle Manu has agreed to give you a bit of a kōrero and offload all his tauranga, Māori, all his Māori knowledge. So over to you. If you want to just take your seats, I guess. Any seat.
Just a fair right to some of these corners. Watch your head when you go down to the toilet. They only got short people here. You might get drawn by those things coming down the side of the toilet. So only tall ones.
You'll see a pot plant right in the way. That's to stop you going your head.
Okay. As far as this marae is concerned, it's the story about Tū Whare Toa is all over the place. You all have a version. I'll just stick to the one that's you already got the Tū Whare Toa book. That's good enough for me. Everybody got a version. So anyway, this one is start with the name of the marae, which is Turangi-Tongariro and Mangakino-Pouakani. Wharepuni is the same. Call it a wharepuni, everybody, somebody else call it, we get it, somebody else is a wharetūpuna and so sorts of names. Wharetipuna, all that carry out. But anyway, we call it a wharepuni. Puni is a designation of your, where you come from. Well, I forgot to use the word for it, but it's a real deep word, puni. Nitanga, that sort of stuff. Is, anyway, but wasn't good at to tell it. Turangi-Tongariro was one of the chiefs way back in, I don't know, 10 generations away. Her name is was on this Warepuni. And this house here, this was his daughter-in-law. Ringarangi was the daughter-in-law. She married one of his sons, Tamamutu. Turangi had 4 daughters before he got sons. He had 4 sons. And this was, Tamamutu was the eldest of the sons. So Marae sits with that name on it. Bearing in mind the other side of the lake is at Tautoko is another one. Some of their quarter comes down off that pertaining to this other son Tamamutu, which is that's a Turangi there too. And there's another one here at Roranui, a couple of Turangi they call that, which is the couple is like descendants group, you know, like Kapahaka, all those sort of things. This couple of Turangi, so that ancestor, well, he went all around. I think he's sort of his corduroys in that book. But he was one of them that warlords, anything like that. So he ended up over here. So we just, our ancestor who built this, they would have been about quite early. This thing is actually over 100 years old, but we don't have to celebrate around here. We just, it's another day. Well, I'm not going to get the ground for that one, but anyway. So, back 1916, I think that all fella put it. And now, all these, well, we just stick all the descendants up inside the photos and all of that, from that line, from Tamamutu and Ringarangi, that is this upper group, but the upper group is this family. Well, there's many families from it, but that's mainly. As for this area, well, who knows? Before it's all changed. Once we've got to go down there, check it, maybe some mama or somewhere. So we found out more. And that's about it. Is there any questions? No, that's good. Cool. Yeah.
The one question that gets asked a lot is why is there 2 marae within 100 metres of each other?
Well, they're all kings group, you know, kings. They're all king families. And you know what it's like when one feels a bit left out. What do people do when they're feeling left out? You move over somewhere else and he becomes a chief over there.
It's just across the trust.
Just across about 50 metres. This is my piece. They all, the genealogy is the same. Same genealogy here, same genealogy here. Well, that's what I'm saying. People feel a bit, oops, time to move. That's my land over here. So something like that. But the genealogy is basically the same. Basically the same as those ones at Waitotoko. Basically the same at Oranui. The other ancestor that came in with Ngā Turangi was Tia. So Tia was another ancestor. So they're all these. This side of the lake mainly hook into Tia and Ngā Turangi. But you'll find that if you're going around Marae, you'll find that with ancestors. There was basically many people here. There was people here, and these ones all that came on the Te Arawa Waka. Tia and Ngā Turangi, Kurapota, they all came on the same waka, Te Arawa Waka. So our waka is into Te Arawa, one of the branches of that kingdom.
So the Turangi eat it, like, because there's down towards Turangi and this one, they were all the sons that moved?
Yeah, they're all sons of Turangi Ita. Well, this one you can basically say where his footsteps went. All around here, around the western side, Turangi Ita. And kōrero is, well, this the other ones that are right by here, they're also from Taupo, but they have a slightly different ancestor, and nobody's going to give up the ancestor. So yeah, but they're all mainly to whare so Te Arawa Waka, which is Tia, Purapoto, Ngāturerangi, all those, they're all from Te Arawa Waka. But again, through genealogy, they whiz off to any whakaaro. Being central, in the middle of the, well, yeah, plenty of things, because of this stuff was going on, coming, waterways was highways, all of this. It was the highways, there was no roads, so all of this, through conflict, whatever, all of that sort of stuff. So all these, what I'm saying is two for the thought. Genealogy goes, being in the middle, everybody was coming through for whatever reason. Yeah, so all of that sort of stuff. But this can go back to nearly all of those other canoes. Yeah.
Why is this area here called Mangakino?
Oh, there we go. No more about it than me. I really don't know, but I only can hear a lot of other kōrero. This other kōrero.
The story I heard, it's something to do with Mount Tahara and the throwing of a log.
Oh, there. The log didn't come over this way.
Well, I need to be sure where
Yeah, well, the log ended up on that side, so I didn't get to Nukuho. If we were standing over there, the log didn't get over here. The log went over that side, so well, it's a good thing to discuss with the person who said that.
He said it more than once. I'm not concerned now.
There's another story that says, the wife of this Turangi-ita, Waikato, was from Waikato. So, like all relationships, there was turmoil amongst the relationships, so she felt left out. She felt left out, and she went back to her people. The story goes that this fellow heard she was going to have a son, so he went and, well, before she left, he said some famous words to us that, well, it's all written down with us, June. When I thought that, ko kei te tūwhera tonu te awa I Waikato, that I Nukuho, she mentioned Nukuho's name. Kei te tūwhera tonu te awa I Nukuho, which was meaning that the water still flow out of Lake Taupo, and the connection goes back in following the river back to where she was from, Tautari, one part of it. So it's, I'm saying that it's her, she's saying, well, the flow is still flowing, the lake still flows through Nukuho. But as far as going back to where that word is, she would be in about the 15th century, I would think. They're queer, 10 generations away. As for the proper, no, I don't know where this name looks like. We all brought up with it, so.
Oh, there's a few stories on it.
Yeah.
There's a few stories.
Somebody over there will
Don't know which one's right.
Yes. Two for the Tony Tell we look at, so what? It's come from our tooth.
There was another one I heard with just listening. That the days of the lake was full of kokopu, fish at the time, and when the wind is blowing, and that's the time it pushes the kokopu up on shore, and they just go along and pedal up. But that apparently down here wasn't a good place for it, and of course. Rangi, he moved the wind just below Tongariro Street there somewhere. nuku, you nuku te hau. You moved the hau down below. That was a good area for pushing up, for the wind to blow the fish upshore. Nuku hau, shifting wind, shifted the wind. That was another story. What I heard. But it sounds good.
Any more? Yep, pass the ball to this one.
Dominic spoke to me in relation to, apart from the historical factors pertaining to our region, or our rohe, Ngāti Tū we have just recently signed the settlement. And of course, what's important for all of us, for each hapu, is making sure the planning going forward is what are we going to be doing. And so there's all kinds of, we've got some good people out there, like Tangata over there, and we have Dominic, and we have various other people who are looking at a strategic plan. And that falls under the auspices of the Te Kotahitanga. Now that's new for me and new for our people. When we start using titles of Te Kotahitanga, the unity of hapu, and it's new because this has never been a ways and means of dealing with issues from hapu to hapu to hapu. And putting it all into one basket could be quite taxing. And so the kotahitanga, who are made up of representatives from each marae, which consists of 26 people, and their alternates. And they are primarily there to see how the plan is going to, how it's going to appear, so that they can deliver all of that back to their people at their various hapu. One of the things that is very obvious, we're not in a position where we have people who are able to work actively to put something tangible with tangible outcomes. And that's where the mindset of our representatives and also our people from the hapu is understanding the dynamics. If we want to deal with economic development, then we need to be very, very sure that we have the right horses for the courses. It's very important. And of course, we have that in our rohe. Then we have social development, and we've just gone through an election. And of course, they have yet to determine who's going to be the government. Again, the kotahitanga has to seek what is going to be achievable. And even though there are various organisations within our region that are able to deal with those issues. And again, I see the council as playing a pivot role in relation to some of the issues that face us as rate payers. And so, again, it's being able to interact and being able to bring issues to the council. Because historically, we haven't been a people to do that. We try to deal with our issues internally, but because of the dynamics and the changes, we have to go out and then seek seek certain organisations, whether that be the council, whether that be the regional council, and so on, or central government. And so it's a very important time for our region, for our rohe, Ngāti Tūwharetoa. And then, with the uniqueness of having a paramount chief. Now, again, that comes under pressure because of the demands of the hapu. And it comes under pressure because now the focus is on not only on our people, on our hapu, but also on our chief. And so, with all of those things happening, by the end of next year maybe, or the year after, we should have something in place. And even though we interact with you, the council, for different issues, and I can give you various examples, however, you know what they are. The other thing is, I'd like to acknowledge the council for making an attempt. I see that there's been classes, te reo classes, and I'm glad that the council has acknowledged the culturalism. And I'm not saying you should spend a lifetime dealing with that, because you've got other issues to deal with. But being able to understand, just that is a biggie. And it's not trying to, and I must also say, it's not the reo, the language of our people. It's the understanding of how we want to go forward, and so there's no misunderstanding. And I think those processes have already started, Gareth. You have recently taken on a senior advisor development, which is Mr. Dylan Tahoe, which is fine, that's good. And then of course you have your strategics relationships manager, Dominic, very good. Again, the pressures will be on Dominic and on Dylan, because of what our tribe going forward has to do. And so the relationships are very important. They are paramount. When I think back to the early 50s, and if my elder or my cousin will say, well, I hope he agrees with this. My grandfather was the founding member of the Taupo County. And his name was Tete Mere Mere, Te Rakato, known as Mr. Ted Blake. And one of the things that he spoke about growing up was about being able to interact, because our elders, our women and our men were very much focused on making sure that their mokopuna, their grandchildren, were given the opportunity to be educated. So in our generation, a lot of us went away to boarding school. And so they put a lot of emphasis on that, and they put a lot of emphasis on saying that it is very important to absorb what the Pākehā has to offer. Absorb it. I don't want you going to school to speak te reo. That's my job. You go to school to learn about what makes the world go round. And of course, since then, our young ones have been educated, and although the good ones, they're already working, and it's going to be very difficult to try to get them back. And I'm very happy to say they are in many different fields of profession, in the legal, the medical, the accounting, and so on, etc., etc. So we're happy with that. But all that knowledge has to come back. It's payback time. And I say that literally. They have to come back to help their people so that we can sit and relax and just tell stories. And so with that, I thought it was very important to share that. And are there any questions? Please don't be afraid to ask questions. And you know, sometimes one of the things about asking questions, and it doesn't matter what they are, as long as there's a question. Thank you, Gareth.
What are your thoughts, or do you have a view on the obviously the outcome of the weekend and the change in the Maori seats? Do you have an opinion on that? Do you feel that?
That's a great
Not
question, Rosie. That's a great question.
I'm trying to think of a good one.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a good one. And I will be frank. I will be frank. What we had previously, and National, who embraced the Māori Party. There's a disappointment, and this is only me, there's a disappointment on my part that they didn't get back into Parliament. When I look across the spectrum of central government, National, and I don't mind saying this also, I've always been National. And it was very important which party, when you look at the history, was prepared to put their hand up to help Māori. And that was National. And I say that without doubt. And so we've lost 2 representatives of the Māori Party. I'm going to say this right now, is that since their ousting, there's been various discussion by some of our leaders in our rohe, in Tūwharetoa, that we need to participate to resurrect the Māori Party back into Parliament. And because to us, they played a pivot role, and they weren't just seat warmers. I fear the next 3 years, if we have a change of government. And again, that's only my opinion. How does that affect us as Māoridom within our own rohe? We historically have always supported Labour. Always supported Labour. Mum and Dad supported Labour like many other mums and dads. But there's that man called Winston, Rosie.
Never heard of him.
Exactly. Now Winston, he says a lot of things, but I will, in his favour, Winston says a lot of things. I see Winston down in Ratana every 25th, and we have some very good conversation. And I'd hate to be a politician, you know. And when I hear things like, oh, he wants to get rid of the treaty and he wants to get rid of the Maori seats, he's just babbling on. That's all he's doing, babbling on. And so it's going to be very pressurizing for him going forward to see which side he jumps. And being the, what they call it, the king maker, that title's too high for Winston. He knows that the decision he makes has to be the right one. Otherwise, he's going to be gone. And so, no matter what the issues were in relation to the Māori Party, they took the stance, they did the work, and that's all they did. And whatever we thought about it, Māori, some of us didn't agree, some of us did agree. And so, there's the change. The changes are already happening within Māoridom. Looking at it strategically. Not just off their heads. It's done strategically. Does that answer it, Rosie?
That's a really good summary, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cup of tea.
Lovely.
Yes. Any more questions?
What?
No, this for me.
Oh.
I was just getting up to go for a cup of tea.
Is it ready?
Yeah, I'll go and see.
Go check it out.
Ready.
So what do you fellas think of Donald Trump?
Brilliant. He's the man.
I suppose it's good for a laugh.
Yeah.
Dangerous life.
Dangerous laugh.
I'd like to ask the council a question and just giving that, I think asking questions should be on both sides. Here's a question I want to ask is how does the council feel about going forward into and recognising some of the changes that are taking place even in our region? How does the council feel about its plan, its strategic plan going forward? And if it's covered everything to get some very good outcomes? That's my question.
Who wants to answer that? Should be.
You?
It's a government's question, Rosie.
Well, we are doing a review of the district plan an OPO rather than doing the rolling reviews, to be perhaps more relevant, and just to bring everything to context. Obviously, as I say, with the process of the changes in our communities, for various reasons, we need to be a little more proactive rather than reactive. So by doing that, we can probably, long story short, bring in perhaps a 15-year reviews of our district plans elements into say 7 years, so to be a bit more relevant, to be more, a bit more proactive.
We've also just created a vision, which is not public yet, and there's a byline attached to that, and there's going to be strategies. We're doing an economic development plan because we're very serious about what we want to achieve in this region. But to have a vision that inspires you, we believe is really important. So we have done that, and we've still got more work to do.
I mean, just to add to that, we're at a part of the triennium. We're about to go into our long-term plan process, where we look at what we need to do in the next 10 years as far as infrastructure, what we want to build on from that vision, what we want to achieve in the next 10 years, so we can sort of map out the budgets and plans going forward. and have a work program along with that.
Yeah, and over the last few years we're working really hard in our consultations, so as far as the councillors getting to meet grassroots community out in Mangakino, Turangi, Taupo, and as well as online, because we're really, really aware that a lot of our youth are accessing the internet as far as their communication, so we're working really hard on all those areas to ensure that we are communicating with the people.
And one thing Mayor David has done is he's actually allocated us portfolio areas to look after, which will give us a more sort of aimed approach at which parts of the community we deal with, so there's not a lot of double handling or areas of our district that are going to miss out having that two-way conversation with council.
The cherry on the top, Tūmatua, would be the fact that, and you alluded to it in your kōrero, was what occurred a few months ago at Waititoko. I think the opportunity to have the council or in a partnership arrangement with Tū Whare is the future. There's no doubt about it, not in my mind anyway, about what does that mean, because we've always said it. I know I've heard it around my life back home. What's good for Tū Whare is good for the community, what's good for the community is good for Te Toa. It has to be that visionary sort of statement, because I think it complements. But the settlement, of course, sets a different platform now, doesn't it? You know, everything's been elevated now, and of course, the closer we can bring council and Tū Whare together, I think the outcome is bloody exciting. Is my view on it. To bring all of that together, just what everyone's been saying.
Thank you for that, Taupo, because I what you just finished saying, I think it's crucial. And again, it gets to that better understanding, you know, on both sides.
Yep.
Not just our side, your side too. We need to understand. And even just coming back to the fact that even though we have a settlement and we have agreements with various people, whether that be DOC or whoever, is that we still need to get our heads around the fine print, the legislation, so on and so on, before we start to assume, and we shouldn't assume, because all these things have been put there for a reason. It's all right having partnerships, but you've got these other dimensions, which is legislation, and being able to put that into a better understanding, and so that we can all go forward. Do you agree, Gareth?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you, Gareth.
I've got a whole lot of works here. Sorry. Dinner's ready.
I would just like to say, on behalf of everyone here today, that we really appreciate you hosting us for the meeting today, and I've really enjoyed getting to know more about the marae and the background, and I would say on behalf of David, I know that he and all of us have worked really hard, I think, over the last few years since I've been involved in council, to make sure that the relationships are very, very good and strong, and that involves consultation. We've got more coming up now. We're heading away to New Plymouth on Thursday. So there's so much going on that I think that we are working really, really well together. And that's our aim, to continue to do that. So thank you very much for having us here today.